What a great entrepreneur.
Good stuff. Yes, yeah. I love stories like this. I really do. He's taking something that you love and then actually building your life around it. Not just your business, but your life. It rocks. And
those are the type of mindset movements that are going to create success during a downturn, or what I call an accelerated changing market. I don't like to put any negative energy into downturning. Accelerated change. Speaking of accelerated change, we got Les here. Leslie Winston. I wanted to say Winston so bad. My dad used to smoke Winstons, and that's why he's no longer with us.
It is. You can call me Winston. That's my name.
Oh, perfect. Well, I'm glad that my team is still making errors and mistakes, because I keep on telling them that mistakes are what we learn from, and I'm glad they have less Winston here. But it's Winston. Thank you. I'm glad you corrected me. The chairman of Endow America Network Foundation, social, secharity.org. And, that term, SE Charity, I'm very, 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 Blaine and I have dedicated our lives in the charitable side of things. We wrote a book called Compassionate Capitalism. And so for you, obviously, coming from where you are, empowering others to give back is a big part of what you do. What is the differentiating, the bold new way to actually utilize this social charity that you've created?
Well, social charity actually defines 3 charitable vehicles that the Congress put into the Internal Revenue Code back in 1969. It defines a way for individuals to get income, just as Social Security provides income after investing over many years. Social Charity does the same thing, but the major difference is that when the individual passes on with a Social Charity account, the corpus that's left behind is distributed to charities that individual wanted to support. Whereas with Social Security, when they pass, the money just disappears into the netherland of government. So we coined that term to define those 3 vehicles.
Now, part of what this is, leverages is Section 664. So for the folks in the audience here, can you talk a little bit about, giving some context here? What is Section 664? And that's not, the IRS.
Well, Section 664 makes a bargain with the people. The basic bargain is that if you do something good for charity when you die, we'll give you lower taxes while you're alive. That's the basic bargain. That's been true since 1969. The problem is that nobody's publicized it. Nobody's made it known. So the way it works is if you have a 664 trust, you basically have the same kind of vehicle as if you had a pension plan or a profit sharing plan or a 401k plan or an IRA. But you don't have the same restrictions that qualified plans have. You have unrestricted values that can be built in this charitable device. And basically what I look at, I call it 664 equals E squared. I had a show where I was talking about Einstein's daughter, and she, it reminded me of his theory of relativity, E equals MC squared. And I said, this is the same kind of thing. 664 equals E squared. And what that means is that 664 represents endowment. E is endowment. And it endows 2 parties. It endows the individual donor by giving them income for life, and it endows the community when that individual passes. In addition to that, it allows for tax-deductible transactions and tax-free transactions while the individual is alive and can use the 664 because it's multi-purpose. So the problem is, everybody knows what a 401k is. It's been promoted, but this has never been promoted by government. This has never been promoted by anybody except really the ultra rich in the country have been using this for many years because they could afford the advisors who would tell them how to do this kind of planning. So it is intricate. And so what we're doing to teach social charity and 664 planning is we've set up a 3-hour continuing education course for life insurance agents and financial advisors to teach them how these devices can play into their planning for their clients and help them tremendously by increasing the amount of income that they'd be able to receive, reducing the taxes that they have to pay on transactions, and also providing for the community at the end of life. And that's where the endowment comes in. If they had done this, if they had promoted this properly in 1969, by now we would have a huge endowment that would be supporting, not I'm talking about a central endowment, I'm talking about endowments in the individual nonprofit world where those resources are available to help support that nonprofit. Because if nonprofits have to go out and raise money, or if they have to go get grants from government, that's drawing away from their ultimate objective, and that's a negative. So we're trying to do a couple of things. We want to endow America because if we endow America, we'll take the burden off of government. And the other thing is we think we can reduce national debt by doing that because it'll free up that type of capital, and it'll also help the communities provide services on a much better, more economical, more efficient basis because it'll be sustainable.
And first of all, Leslie, I have to tell you, you look like our friend who used to be the chairman of Unstoppable Foundation, which I'm the now chairman of, and Blaine's on the board. But you look like Ronaldo, our ex. Oh, no wonder I got the name wrong. You look like Ronaldo, and I miss him. So anyway, you'll never know how much I miss him. But more importantly, it's interesting because, take ERC, for example, today is something that I'm trying to raise awareness of, the employee retention credit. It seems that, a lot of the governmental assistance that really can help with small business or build wealth, he's studying asset-based lending and IULs and annuity in the financial advisor world that you're in. And here I am on a 16-year journey after losing $100 million of trying to know about how the rich get richer. And I didn't even pronounce, let alone your last name, Charity, right? So Charity has been around since the year after I was born, not to age myself. Why is it that we can't get the education of our advisors to help not only the very wealthy, but also build wealth for the middle class through some of these vehicles, like annuities and IULs and Social Security, because these don't require great wealth. They require compound interest and habitual discipline with financial literacy. But it seems to me that we put ourselves into a $30 trillion hole, and there's many mechanisms that good government has put into place, but we haven't effectuated educating our advisors to help the people take advantage of them.
Well, the government is in business. That's one of the problems. And to me, to have the government support a non-governmental organization, that's an oxymoron. I don't know why that occurs the way it does in the numbers that it does, but that has to stop. And the only way that's going to stop is if you replace it. If you replace it and you benefit the community and the individual donors by giving them income, you're making the world a better place, and human kindness can be expanded. So, government likes to collect tax, but the Honorable Learned Hand said in one of his appellate decisions, you're not duty bound to pay the most the law extracts. You have the right and privilege to reduce your taxes as much as legally possible. And people just don't know that they can do things that benefit themselves and benefit the community. One of the most important aspects of this, and I drew a diagram today on my webcast because I interviewed a young lady, a 15-year-old lady. Her name is Sonika Katari, and she has created a Money Matters course for students of her age. She started when she was 13 years old, recognizing the importance of education, of the financial literacy education to individuals. And what I showed her was how a 664 trust actually could benefit her over her entire lifetime, because it would help her to accumulate money. When I was treating it as if it was like tithing or it's tzedakah in the Jewish religion, giving something each year to accumulate. And the difference is that when you accumulate it that way for charity is going to get it at the end of your life. But during your lifetime, what you've accumulated will help to support you. So you're doing two people a real service, yourself and the community. And that is a purpose. That's a good thing for people to look at. And I think that the fact that they can see what they're growing, know what it's worth, have direction over it, because they basically act as if an individual is age 13, they can have their own trust. They may require an older person to be the trustee in the initial stage, but eventually they'll take over the trusteeship. They'll be the income beneficiary, and they'll control how the money gets invested inside that 664, much like it was an IRA and so on. IRAs can be attacked, and I've seen that in many cases where folks have accumulated money, and then when the COVID hit, they ran and they made loans against their plans, or they borrowed money from their plans, and that's self-destructive. So I treat this as if you're giving it away. It's like tithing, it's like tzedakah. You're not going to see it anymore, but it's going to help you by producing income for you for the rest of your life. So it's a real simple process, but it requires some no governmental approval. It just requires the public's appreciation for those numbers 664. We can get them to know what 664 is, when to use it, and that it's a value to them. We can get it done that way.
Well, we need to educate more people in this respect. Yeah. It's amazing. I always call it the younger we get to people, we give a special benefit to, and I call it the extra double. I'm a student of Einstein, and so my wife always says, "What do you mean? We started their kids when they were born." Giving investment to them and understanding the extra double. And I said, you understand, determinative upon when they get to be 60 or 70 years old, that extra double really means a lot. If you go from 2 million to 4 million, or 4 million to 8 million, or 8 million to 16, or hopefully 100 million to 200 million, just executing on the same model, that extra double can create generational wealth. And we need to give that to our youth, that extra double, which gives, just an incredible opportunity to help our communities and help our world. I definitely want to get you in touch as chairman of our charity, and also, of course, Chief Chancellor of Junior Achievement, which we're the 7th largest NGO in the world. I think this is a great tool to give as well, and to allocate an endowment for our charity and others. So where can people find you, the best place to learn more about social charity?
Well, they go to the socialsecharity.org website. That's socialsecharity.org website. If you go to that website, you'll see a series of buttons which will take you to more information about Social Charity. There's information there about pooled income funds, which is one of the other types of charitable vehicle, and charitable gift annuities is the third type. All of those are types that provide tax deduction. They provide tax-free growth, and they allow for income to be distributed at the based on the value of those accounts. So we think those are invaluable tools, and they can find more about that on socialsecharity.org. They can also find our radio show where we have been broadcasting the interviews that we've been doing. In fact, your interview, I think, was on this week, David. So we introduced your book, and we did get a couple of requests for books, so that was good. Anyway, it was really, I thought the message that we combine has real resonance. We believe in getting people to their genius. That's the ultimate top of the pyramid, of what we call confidence pyramid. And if we get people to work at their genius, which means that's something they like to do 24 hours a day, never get tired of it. It's like what I'm doing right now. I could do this for 24 hours a day. If you asked me to talk about this stuff 24 hours a day, I would talk about 24 hours a day.
Me too.
I'm tired doing it. But I can tell you there are some things that I used to do when I would work at them for half an hour, I'd fall asleep. But genius is really beautiful. So in order to get to your genius, though, you have to have confidence over your money, your time, your relationships. You need to have the spiritual bent, and then you can work at your genius. And that's our approach to the whole human being. And I think you do the same kind of work. So I'm looking forward to working with you in the future. I think it should be very interesting.
Absolutely. We'll have Blaine come on your show as well. You'll learn the source of all the information and the mentorship that I've gotten through his genius, and we can pass it down to more and more people.
Absolutely.
Les, thank you so much for my lack of pronunciation, but also my love for you and everything you do to Endow America and creating that network and foundation for all of us. Check it out, socialsforcharity.org. You have the site listed below. We look forward to being of service to you. Thank you for joining us.
Yep. Take care, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Take care, Les.
You bet. Good to meet you, Les. Take care. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I would love to talk with him. I know we've got Barry coming on here real quick, but I would love to talk to him about how he's educating the general public, the mindset of people, so that they can actually move into recognizing that a charitable, philanthropic mindset doesn't require a lot of money.
Right.
As a matter of fact, if you don't have a lot of money, that's probably one of the easiest, quote unquote easiest, but definitely one of the most effective ways to begin accumulating a lot of money is to work from a mindset of philanthropy. It's just amazing how that works. Yes. Yep.
Very good person. All right. Speaking of mensches, he may not be Jewish, but he certainly is a mensch. Donny Starkins is in the house.
He's a spiritual gangster.
He is.
What's up, guys?
He's one of my best friends, life coach, teacher, speaker, great podcast. And guess who's launching season 2 with Donny Starkins and Darren Waller, the amazing football player for the Raiders. Guess who that is, Blaine?
That would probably be you.
2 thumbs and 2 ears right here. The man, we had one of the best interviews I've ever done. I wasn't surprised, from the Blue Wire Studios in the lobby of the Wynn, which I share there with Donny and Darren. But welcome to Office Hours, Donny.
Thanks, fellas. Thanks for having me. And I'm getting blown up with positive feedback about your interview today. I think, we had, leading up to your interview, we kind of had this set questions, these 10 questions that we asked everybody, and we went off script and we just let it flow. And it was a good takeaway from us, because especially just hearing the feedback from everybody else, just saying how fluid and how meaningful the conversations were that we had that day.
I kept on telling Donny and Blaine, I said, this stuff doesn't work unless you cry, buddy. So, let it all come out. And I'm a crier. I got Donny to cry. I got Darren to tear up. Yeah. He might even cry, but it is a powerful podcast, and just a pleasure to be on. All right, I kind of cut off Blaine. So I'm gonna let Blaine ask this first question. Go ahead, Blaine.
Well, no, I've been in the personal development space since 1974, I think, not to date myself, but I've been playing this game for a long time. The shift, transformational coaching. You've got a personal development coaching program here. Talk a little bit about that, Donny, because I'm very interested in just kind of the 90-day structure of this. And I'm keying in on the word transformational, because that's a very meaningful word to me.
Yeah, so I think for me, that word shift has always been super meaningful. And I think a lot of people, including myself at one point in my life, was very stuck. I was stuck in an addiction, and I was stuck in an old narrative and an old story of victimization, and everybody's out to get me and nobody understands. And at some point, something had to change, right? And you brought up the word transformation, where I believe that true transformation happens from the inside out. So the shift is about being the stand for transformation. I think so many people are waiting for the world to change, or waiting for the right situation or the right circumstance to take a step forward. And it's like, no, it's like, be the change you want to see in the world. If you want change, make it happen yourself. And then it's the action that creates transformation. And I just think having the structure of having a coach that is going to keep you accountable, right? Because I think accountability is everything. And the more layers of accountability you have, the more likely you are to follow through. And without accountability, people just end up getting more of what they don't want.
Yep, absolutely. And the idea, inside out, that's all it is. Transformation. People, they think that if I just do something different, I've transformed. You don't do something different and transform. You have to be different in order for transformation to actually be exhibited. You have to be different. And that's the key here. And I love the spiritual gangster. I mean, it caught my eye immediately, because I see business as a spiritual discipline. It truly is. I think it's probably one of the greatest spiritual dojos I have ever played in. This domain of business, because I have to transform continuously because success is always an ongoing, it's not a static place. I've got, so if I'm not growing my business. If I'm not growing my business. And that's the key here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that it's, you're either expanding or contracting, right? And if we're not, the evolution of our souls, and then you talk about spiritual gangster. It's funny, this is a clothing line that one of my close friends back in Arizona started. He's a great mind entrepreneur. His name's Ian Lopatin, and really blew this brand up. He brought one of the first yoga studios into Phoenix that played more the edgier hip hop music and kind of changed the dynamics of what yoga could look like. And then the brand itself just kind of blew up. But I think a spiritual gangster, some people will come up to me and go like, what is that? Is that some type of cult? And then other people will go, Jesus was a spiritual gangster. So it can mean anything. I think sometimes when you stack the word spiritual below the word gangster, it gets people's wheels turning a little bit, which that's the point.
Yeah, that is exactly.
Psycho Bunny, or my brand, Ferocious Buddha. I love it. The spiritual gangster. Yeah. But Donny, your podcast is the comeback stories, right? And you have 3 people between Darren, yourself, and I that lived in a world of punishment. Like anytime anything bad had ever happened to us, we felt punished, and therefore we, through that punishment, decided to utilize bad behavior in order to compensate for a bad perception. And all of us went through our own spiritual gangster shift of transformation, leading to huge success, right? Darren Waller is one of the greatest NFL stars that plays today. You're leading the way in personal development and just have made remarkable impact on so many people in the world. And yet we spoke about that, the transformation from being punished to a mindset of being promoted, protected. And it is a story that we tell ourselves. And how were you able to, not only for yourself, but for other people, shift that paradigm from being punished to being protected and promoted?
Great question. I think everything changed for me the moment I took ownership. When I took ownership for my life and I stopped blaming everybody else and the doctor who screwed me over and overprescribed me and talked me into having this surgery and all of these things, it was like I was blaming everybody else instead of taking ownership for my life. And the moment that I did, it's like taking personal responsibility for the life that you want to have. And that's actually how we take our power back, instead of giving our power away to the people that screwed us over or did us wrong. At some point I had to bring in acceptance of where I was at in my life. It doesn't mean I have to like it. Doesn't mean some of the things that happened weren't fair, messed up, but I do have to accept that they happened so that I can really move forward. And looking back, it's like, it's not the event that happens, it's the meaning we attach to it. And you brought up the word perception, right? So then as we start to transform our belief system and how we see the world and how we see ourselves in the world starts to change. So to answer your question, everything changed when I just took ownership for my life.
Yeah, it's interesting. I took on that idea of accountability by saying, what did I do to participate in the perception? And what am I supposed to learn from it? And instead of even what did I do to attract this to myself, which is more in the law of attraction, and what am I supposed to learn from it? There was an inherent, almost punishment that I'm doing something to attract this instead of participating in a perception. And that guise of accountability, that perception of accountability, has helped me take ownership by utilizing the word participation in a perception, still seeking a lesson, of course, because we want to expand and grow and be promoted by the lessons that we learn. But Blaine, go ahead. Well, we keep on. There we go.
There we go.
Matt keeps on messing with your mic.
Yeah, I think I've got background noise here, but the idea of perception and shifting. One of the key perceptive shifts that I have made probably 35, 40 years ago was that there's nobody out there and there's no thing out there except me. I'm always experiencing myself. And when you take that perspective, I'm always experiencing myself. It's just an outsourcing of an internal consciousness. You can't not have ownership. And it takes blame out of the process. it welcomes inquiry. It brings in curiosity. Yeah, and there's literally a deeper dive that begins to occur where I begin to unfurl more of myself in the process. So, that idea of ownership is absolutely crucial to fulfilling life.
Like David's word, participate. It's like participate in your own rescue, right? And if you're in victim mode, right, you're blaming, you can't take ownership. At the moment that you drop that, what people don't understand is that's when you actually reclaim your power, when you finally stop giving your power away to things outside of you and take personal responsibility to live the life that you want to live. And this word freedom, I have it on my intent bracelet on my wrist, and it's that word freedom just runs so deep for me. Obviously, being sober and being so far from free in the depths of my addiction, and today it's the freedom, my willingness to do the work, my willingness to serve and help others is really contingent. It's like in alignment with freedom. If I can serve, if I'm going to do the work, I can be free, and it's not really freedom for myself, it's freedom from myself. And what better way than to help others? All right. That's the quickest way out of self-pity or in a funk, is just to go help others. And it still kind of blows my mind today that my past addiction and some of the terrible decisions that I made and, the pain I put my family through can actually help other people. It's the coolest thing in the world that I can actually, and there's no shame anymore. And even if there's like thoughts of some of the things I did, it all goes away when I just share my story.
Yeah, I know that so many people are already participating in your story, and you're already have paid the dummy tax for them, that they're participating in a different way in your story. And that's what the comeback stories are about. That's what you and Darren are about. That's why I'm just honored to be a part of that podcast and want everyone to really elevate and shift by listening to the podcast, also reaching out to you. You have an extraordinary 90-day program. There's nobody that knows more about personal development than Blaine Bartlett. And he thinks the highest of your own mindfulness and your mindset, as he has a mindset mastermind as well. So Donny, man, everybody check him out. Continue to listen and download the comeback stories of Darren Waller with Donny Starkins, DonnyStarkins.com. He's a life coach, a teacher, a speaker, and a podcast host, obviously, but most importantly, he's my friend. Join me anytime and let me know how I can be of service.
Thank you so much for everything you do for me, David. I appreciate you. You helped me more than you'll ever know. And Blaine, it's good chatting it up with you again.
You bet, buddy. You take care. Look forward to talking again.
Congrats, Donny. Go enjoy the beach behind you. Blaine's showing off, but I know you got a beach as well. So Donny lives on the beach. He has the same view. He changed his setting. He's trying to make me feel good. I'm stuck in a closet. But anyway, thank you, Donny.
See you guys.
Okay, take care.
Unbelievable, Donny Starkins. All right, my friend, from Hawaii, what's the takeaway of the day?
From Hawaii, well, the takeaway from the day is Hawaii is gorgeous, as is the rest of life. Life is always good. It always is good. Even when I wake up grumpy, I look outside and it just gets better. As long as I keep my focus on life is good, shit happens. I mean, it does. It just happens. But it's not who I am. It's just something I get to play with. So, yeah, I like Donny's point here. Yeah, participate, and this is the one that you made in particular here. Participating. Participation is the way you get through anything. You just participate in it. Don't resist it. Participate in it.
Participation of that perception. And for me, it's tied into the participation of our perception by giving meaning to everything that we see. And you said it right there from Hawaii, how blessed we are, how happy we are, and how you can write your own story by giving it the meaning that we see. And all I see is beauty and friendship and love when I see you, and you're a wonderful bride who changes so many lives as you do. Everybody join Blaine Bartlett, Mindset Mastermind. Check out my dear friend and mentor. He is changing lives, not just within my company, but within the world. Blaine Bartlett, thank you. Go enjoy your holiday.
You bet. Talk to you later, David. Hey, we need to talk soon too, by the way.
There you go. Give me a call.
I'll circle back. Okay.
I love you. Awesome. He's amazing. Check it out. Mindset Mastermind, BlaineBartlett.com. All right, everyone. That may be one of my favorite episodes. Just a bunch of mentions and unbelievable people on here. And I'm stuck in a closet, but I love it. I give meaning to my closet that I never have ever thought. I'm the man who went back into the closet. That's me, David Meltzer. You can email me, david@dmeltzer.com. Remember, most importantly, especially today on Thankful Thursday, be more interested than interesting. Be kind to your future self and do good deeds. Check out our podcast with Donny Starkins. We are all grateful, especially for Matt being here every week. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you guys later. Take care. See you tomorrow.